Hello, I'm Crabtree, and this is my repurposing and design project, Raising the Bar Stools. When I first began working on this project, the big concern was that my advisor, Mrs. Jarzab, had these bar stools that she wanted to give to her son for his new house, but they were beat up and broken and just didn't look all that great. So my goal was to fix the broken pieces and really bring the chairs back to life with either paint or stain. My plan was to first repair all of the broken parts of the chairs and then paint them. I also wanted to incorporate the Ohio State Buckeyes into the design because her son is a very, very big fan. The first thing I did for this design was repair all of the broken pieces. There were cracks and just parts that weren't fitting together anymore and loose screws, so I used a screwdriver and Gorilla Wood glue to fix all of that. I then sanded them down so I could really rough up the surface of the chairs so that they were ready when it was time to paint. I then painted them with a light gray, which go with the Ohio State theme. And then the bottom bar stool, the bottom rail of the stools, I painted a black, and then I added on a Ohio State logo and the famous Buckeye leaf to really tie in that Buckeye theme that he wanted. Jarzab and her son were both very happy with the end result of these chairs. They will fit into his house very, very well with the Buckeye theme, and they're also much safer and sturdier than they were to begin with. I'm also very happy with the final product. My vision really came to life at the end, but if I could redo it, I do think I would use painter's tape to just help prevent some of the silly mistakes that I made along the way. And I would also use a stencil for the Buckeye logos to make the process go a little faster and also make the lines a little bit cleaner. This is the final product at the very end of the process. This is just some pictures of the process. This is what the chairs looked like at the very beginning. They were beat up, broken, not even all the same colors, and not all the same heights. They were really uneven as well. This picture in the middle is just one example of some of the injuries that the chairs had and some of the broken parts. And this at the end was me sanding down the chairs to prepare them for paint. These first two images on this slide show me painting the body of the chairs that light gray color. And then this last one, I was painting the railing, the black glossy paint. I did this during my interior design class, and I actually had some help from a classmate. So that's Eric right there in the side. And here's just some more final product images. The one in the middle really shows the Buckeye logo that I added on to really incorporate that theme that he wanted. I used a lot of materials during this process. The first one was this 150 grit sandpaper. This was really nice to really rough up the surface so that the paint had more to stick to. I also used this Gorilla Wood glue to fix all of those broken parts. And this was really nice because the glue actually dried a very natural color, so it wasn't super noticeable that I had glued them at all. And this Rust-Oleum aged gray chalk paint was used for the entire body of the chairs. It took about 2 coats, but it worked really well. It had this beautiful matte finish, which I think just made them look really, really clean, but also kind of had a calming feeling to them. This Rust-Oleum oil-based paint was used for the bottom railing of the stools. It had this really neat gloss finish to them, and I think the contrast between the gloss finish of the rail and the matte finish of the chairs had a really, really cool effect. And then these other 2 acrylic paints were used for the Buckeye logo and the leaf, and they also had a matte finish, so that just made it blend very, very well with the gray. These large paintbrushes were used for the body and the rail of the chairs. There were different sizes, so they were nice for different areas around the chairs. And they also made the paint go on very smoothly, so that we only needed 2 coats instead of 3 or 4. And then I used softer, more fine point brushes for the Buckeye logos and the leaves. and also some of the touch-ups that I did at the end. And this Phillips head screwdriver was used at the beginning and the end just to do some final touch-ups and tighten up some screws to make them as sturdy as possible. Most of the items that I used I did have to purchase because I didn't have them. The only two that I did have already were the screwdriver and the fine point paintbrushes. But everything else I did have to purchase. The total cost came out to about $38, which I think was very, very reasonable considering that I redesigned 4 chairs with it. I did this project mostly during my interior design class at school, and we were on a hybrid schedule at the time, so I only got to work on them for about 40 minutes a day, 2 days a week. So it took me several weeks to get them done, and then I took them home for Christmas break, worked on them for a couple hours to do the Buckeye logos and final touch-ups to make them really picture perfect for when I came back to school. And so altogether I spent about 9 hours from start to finish. I used a lot of skills for this, the main ones being a good choice of items for repurposing because I already had the item. I didn't have to find them or buy them at all. And they also had a rightful owner waiting for them when I was done. I repurposed more than one item because there were 4 chairs in the final product. I tried to be as sustainable as possible and promote the environment as much as I possibly could. And then the use of the Ohio State Buckeyes also conserved the theme that he was going for, as well as used embellishments. And then during the actual design process, I used glue and also sanding and painting. During this process, I used a lot of different skills that I learned, and I also gained a lot of useful knowledge that I did not know before and had a lot of fun during it too. And I cannot wait to see a picture of the chairs once they're put into his home. Thank you.